think this story touched a lot of people, mainly because we actually heard the murder. We heard Trayvon screaming for help. We heard the gunshot that actually killed him. And on top of hearing the stories, the witnesses, the woman looking outside and seeing this 240-pound Zimmerman on Trayvon's back with his hands on his head. It was premeditated murder. We all know that. The 911 calls prove that. If you're in a vehicle and you're chasing somebody who's on foot and the police officer tell you don't pursue him, if there is a physical altercation after that point, then it was the person in the vehicle who initiated it, who confronted that individual. I don't see how he could have got free from the police department from the get-go. In any case, I blame Hollywood. I blame all these TV shows. I blame this country in general. These news outlets, ABC, CNBC, CNN, Fox News, LA Times, Huffington Post, Newsweek, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, USA Today. I blame all these media outlets, all these Hollywood movies, or movies wherever they get filmed, that constantly, traditionally project black people in a negative way, especially black males. Their own educational institutions, their universities teach you that these media outlets deliberately seek out to report on black male criminality. So they admit to this. This is something that's even acknowledged in their universities. And they want to report it as if it's some kind of isolated incident. No. This society is also to blame. His blood is on their hands as well as Oscar Grant's blood, and all the black men who got murdered based on racial profiling. And this is only one aspect of racial profiling that black people deal with, especially black males. Other aspects are he's not intelligent enough. He's black. He's up to something. He's a criminal. He's not smart. We can't give him this loan. If we do, we got to make his interest rates very high. We can't give him this job. We can't give him this promotion. In what area of society does racism not exist in this country? We all know how racism even exists in religion. So if it exists in religion, how can it not exist in every other facet of society? It exists in the educational system. It exists in the military, on the workplace, everywhere you go. And this constant projection as black men as being the downfall of the United States is what contributed and created people like this George Zimmerman. Let's say, imagine to yourself that if some pedophile wanted to make a song about molesting little girls. And there's plenty of pedophiles in the United States. Do you think his music will get put on the shelves? Do you think they would make it to the shelves in your record stores? Absolutely not. That's a sick crime. Just like killing black men is a sick crime. And yet, they drag these black men who glorify killing other black men into the booths and give them record deals and put their music out on the stores, on the shelves. You can't just sit back and say, oh, well, it's the artist's responsibility. They just shouldn't be talking like that. I mean, you got your sick people in every group, but you don't give the sick people in your group record deals. They They try to project those men as the average, the typical black man. And some of our youngsters grow up being groomed by that, to hate other black males, other powerless black males. See, they don't see any problem with conflict with somebody in their own socioeconomic status. There's no fear there. There's fear for going out and murdering white folk. When you talk about civilians being terrorized, you're talking about black Americans. And these people got the nerve to focus on Joseph Kony in Uganda. Always talking about the Middle East, access of terror. And they never want to talk about their own acts of terror against their own citizens. The people who built this country, black people, who are constantly terrorized on various levels to different degrees on a daily basis in the United States. But nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. Deal with your own dirt. Deal with your own terrorism. If you're so upright and morally superior to the world and you want to play like the global police, make sure your own house is clean. So I don't just blame this Zimmerman cat. I blame the whole society. And black people are not the ones who condition this society. And now we're stuck and we're unable to react. We react the same way we did in the 1950s, the 1940s, the 1910s. Right? We rally, we march, we sing, we hum, hold hands and sing. Now we just make YouTube videos. I'm angry, I'm outraged. The truth is, we don't have any power to stop it. We don't have any power to stop the creation of George Zimmermans in the world. They're even on police forces. We just gotta pray and hope that we or our family members don't get killed. A constant state of terror. We are terrorized in this country. Why is it not in the educational system to deal with this mental illness of racism that infects all white people? I mean, every last one of them are affected. It is a demon, and they're all possessed by it to some degree. Always have been. People think of a racist. They run into a white person who is nice, and they say, well, this behavior is not consistent with a racist. When you think of a racist, you think of somebody with a bald head who's screaming out racial slurs. No. You think of racism, you think of slavery or Jim Crow. No. If you were to go back in the days of slavery, you would find nice white people. Not all slave owners were cruel. Many of them treated their slaves very well, were very nice to them, bought them nice things, took good care of them. But they never saw them as their equal. During Jim Crow, you fall, bust your head, start bleeding, you'll find people who will help you out. Hey, you okay? Let me buy you a Band-Aid. But they never saw you as their equal. They would never be okay with seeing your group in their own position, with seeing your group in control of this country. So we need to understand that nothing has changed. Today you got the same type of white people. The nicest white people still think in white-oriented ways, and even unknowingly, which is the best case scenario, unknowingly support a system of racism in some way with how they operate in society as a white person. And yet there's no outrage by the white community themselves. Why aren't they out in droves? You know, demanding that this society deals with racism itself, if they're so non-racist. It's because they don't care. They want to continue to live off the benefits that their ancestors passed down to them, and just be nice to you all the while. I kind of feel good that people are getting a more clear understanding of our position in this society. You think people like me are always going overboard and exaggerating. The truth is, our position in this country is many times worse than what is seen in this murder of Trayvon Martin.